Hi, my name is Judy Gannon. I am the State Director and Secretary of Compassionate South Carolina. We are a grassroots patient advocacy group. We are speaking out for patients throughout the state of South Carolina. And right now we're focused on the Compassionate Care Act, which would allow patients with specific debilitating conditions under a doctor's care, with a doctor's recommendation, access to legal medical cannabis. And I'm here joined with Janelle Ralph, our Executive Director.
Hello.
And Sheppard Kelleher, who is a cancer patient currently, who is also the author of a book, Big C, Little Ta-tas. Thank you for joining us, Janet.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. And Janet is not too familiar with the details about medical cannabis, but I think that she just thinks that an option might be a good idea. Based on what's currently available, she's friends with a lot of cancer patients and sees what they have to go through. Janet, can you tell us a little bit about your current treatment?
Yes. Currently I'm taking Ibrance, that relatively new drug that you see advertised on television now. The average expectancy is 22 months on this drug before it continues to be effective for keeping your cancer stabilized. So I am in month 20 now. So what I would like to do is just break records, you know, because this is probably the best of the worst conditions right now. You know, the next thing I go to is apt to be, you know, have more side effects and be more painful or whatnot. So I'm taking that along with Faslodex and Xgeva shots. And so I get that every month. But the good news is this chemotherapy is oral. So I take 21 days of the medication and I'm off 7 to recover. And believe me, at the end of the 21 days, your body does need to recover just as it does when you're on IV medication.
So that's the time that you're feeling your worst?
Yes, yes, that recovery period. Your blood counts are all low and you know you're just dragging around. You know,
What kind of symptoms do you have during that time?
Well, insides of your mouth may get sores, insides of your nose may peel, become bloody, sore. The fatigue is incredible. Just, you know, you just have so little energy. You know, it's all your white counts are fighting because you have all this toxicity in your body. But it, you know, it recovers and it rallies, and you know you're tested before you're given the next cycle, okay, so that you know your body is at least a minimum recovered before you attack again with the drugs.
Okay. Is there any type of relief that you have during that time period as far as what the doctor recommends you to do? Just sleep? During anti-nausea medicine or anything?
Well, I actually have not had trouble with nausea with this drug. It's been very, very good. And as a matter of fact, as time has gone on over this course of 20 months, the symptoms have eased. I guess my body has just become accustomed to them. And so whereas the first treatment I had, the shots and starting Ibrance, I was in bed for 2 days, just solidly. The next 2 months after that, I required a substantial recovery period, you know, just to be functional. Now, after I recover, I'm pretty good to go when I start taking the Ibrance again. But still, I'm able to function maybe 6 hours, maybe a good 6 hours a day getting things done. You know, I mean, sometimes just revving up to take a shower, getting that shower done, putting on your socks, you're ready to just kind of collapse again.
So can you share with everyone what type of cancer you have? I don't think we kind of covered
Yes. I was diagnosed with breast cancer 17 years ago.
Wow.
I was stage 2B, which means I had a pretty substantial tumor in one breast, and I had 4 hot lymph nodes, which means they were malignant as well. So they took out 7, so they were able to know that they just went that far before. Statistically, probably I should not be here now. I did start on after I took chemotherapy and radiation and the tamoxifen they give you for 5 years after the fact. I started a regime of supplements that I continue to take to this day, which includes echinacea for my immune system, and in the wintertime I'm taking like 4 of those a day. I haven't had a cold this year. I've been, where's some wood? I've been very fortunate. I take D, I take calcium, I take flax seed oil for my joints, I take glucosamine and chondroitin. I do everything I can to aid the medicine that I'm given to help it work and to help the rest of my body stay healthy. The doctor says that the good news is, and maybe partly why I'm still here, is because we haven't damaged my heart with the drugs, and my lungs are good so far, you know, kidneys, circulatory system, everything is working good. Other than the fact that 2.5 years ago, 3 years ago, the cancer came back. Okay, it came back in the same breast. And so once you have a recurrence, mastectomy is required. It's the go-to course of action. So we did mastectomy. I went through reconstruction because they've made such strides in that field that it is incredible, honestly. If you were to look at me naked, the only thing that you would notice is I have a faded scar.
Wow.
Here.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That is the only thing you would say, I wonder what jabbed her right there. You would not say, I wonder if she has breast cancer or anything else. I mean, that is the kind of strides they have made.
Mm-hmm.
And you wouldn't say she's 60, you'd say she was about 30. You know, and they took
That's the best.
and they took all of that from right here.
Oh,
Wow.
Okay, so I actually got a tummy tuck and a new bosom all in one fell swoop. Okay, so
So my question is, why have you started looking at medical cannabis, and is this something, if we were to pass the bill and set up the comprehensive program and cancer was included in that, would that be something you would add into your regimen?
yes, I would definitely try that, because at this point I said, after all of this wonderful reconstruction, it turns out that the pain that I had been complaining of for 3 years prior to them finding the lump was cancer in my bones. So the test, all of the diagnostic tests that you know they did during the time I was getting treatment for recurrence, never showed that I had any problem in my bones. So when I started, after I had surgery, I said, maybe we need to check this bone pain out with everything you've got. Look with every,
You knew.
oh yeah, I knew it was. I mean, when the pain is that intense, you know that there's something there.
There's something wrong.
Was it all through all your bones or
No, it was started here.
Okay.
Okay, I'd had x-rays at my family doctor. You know, I was diagnosed with bursitis because, I mean, it wasn't the doctor's fault. It was not. The test, they gave me everything they could diagnostically to look and see. The only thing was when I insisted we do a biopsy. So when they did the biopsy, it showed, yes, you have malignancy. They looked in my pelvis. And so then it was an entirely different story. You know, now you're looking at the end of life, okay? So at that point, I had no grandchildren. So I spoke at this motherhood event in Charleston, South Carolina. And I spoke about how difficult it is to think about not being able to hold your grandchildren, to have the opportunity to instill in them the values that my grandmothers made on me, the impact they had. Well, it turns out 3 months later, we have pregnancy in the family, and then another year later, we have pregnancy, and now I have 2 grandsons. I have 2 grandsons that I need to live for. And I can do everything now for them and love them, but they will never remember that. As hard as that is, they will not know that. So my job is to fight like heck and to find every avenue I can. Try every option so that I can be there to teach them to love life, to love their family, to love animals, to love their fellow man. I owe that to them. I want to give that. I want them to know the love that my grandmother showed me. And honest to God, this is not some old person talking. We found a book that I had given to my grandmother when I was 18 years old. And I wrote an inscription that said, I just want to live to be the kind of grandmother you have been to me. And so, there's that. The thing that I mainly do not want them to, if they never know me, that's tough, but I really don't want them to see me suffer. I have been on both sides of that equation. When I was little, I used to collect money for the American Cancer Society. You know how they used to
in the little
in the streets?
yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
I did that. I did that for years on our block. Because I knew a lot of people that had cancer. I watched them suffer. I've been on both sides of that equation now. I am the one in pain, and I'm here to tell you, watching someone in pain is a lot harder. It's a lot harder. And now that I'm at this stage, I can't imagine watching my children watch me in pain. Are you with me?
I know.
I've been there for the things in their lives that they needed me for, gotten them through divorce, gotten them through heartache. How do you help them through this? You can't. And you can fix the face, and you can paint on the little eyebrows, and you can rouge your cheeks, and you can put on a wig, and you can fix that, but you can't erase the pain in your face. So, some relief from pain, some treatment that will allow me to be cognizant, not drugged to the hilt.
Right.
In my last days. Right now, I take pain pills around the clock. I set my alarm, which just went off a few minutes ago, and I'm sorry. I set an alarm so that I don't reach a critical point where I haven't had my pain medicine and I'm just hurting so badly, and then you have to play catch up.
Right.
But I am able to function. I'm able to drive, I'm able to go to church, do things, take care of my grandson. And I want to be able to have the option of what the American Cancer Society hasn't discovered yet.
Exactly.
And if the legislators, as I understand it, if they, correct me if I'm wrong, if the reason we can't do research on marijuana now is because it's not prepared properly. We don't have standardization. We don't have, it's all still illegal, so they can't do the kind of research
Right.
that they would like to do.
Schedule 1.
So it's funny.
Schedule 1.
It's funny because what a lot of people don't realize is that University of South Carolina, Dr. Nagakati, he's the vice president of research. He has actually been doing cannabinoid research with cancer and autoimmune disorders for the better part of 15 years at University of South Carolina. I'm sorry, the better part of 13 years.
Okay.
Before that, he was doing research 5 additional years at a different university. So he has been doing research for 18 years. He's been doing it on mice and rat models, and they're injecting the cannabinoids directly into cancer cells. And in his findings, he will be the first to say, and he's testified this many a times, that the THC from the marijuana plant is killing cancer cells. It is killing it and eating the cancer cells and leaving the healthy cells alive.
There you go.
THC.
There you go.
Some
And
forms
so,
of cancer.
When you hear about the anecdotal stories, there's so many cancer websites out there that patients in legal states are a part of, and they talk about their stories, and they talk about how it's cured their cancer, or they've definitely improved their quality of life tremendously, or shrinking tumors. And how do you feel when you're in South Carolina and you hear these stories that's going on, and even at the smallest part, let's just say it didn't cure the cancer, but it's definitely giving you a much better quality of life and taking the pain away. We know this.
Yes. If all it does is stabilize it,
Yeah.
that's all you need.
So what do you say
I'm
to the
stable right now.
legislators?
This is it.
Yeah, what do you say to the people that will not, the law enforcement officers that are fighting against us, and, some of the legislators that won't vote for this? What do you say to them? What do you tell them? What, you can just say anything you want.
Well, they've just got to consider the difference that it can make. The possibilities are so incredible, and as you said, they've done research on animals. They've done it in petri dishes, and they've killed cancer cells. How many stage 3 and stage 4 people do I know that would raise their hand and say, yes, I will be your guinea pig.
Please.
You know, regardless of everything else, I will be your guinea pig. When I was a little kid and I was collecting the cancer money, I had two goals. One was to cure cancer, and one was to become a grandmother. Those were my two goals. And I now have become a grandmother. I did not become a doctor as my brother did. But I have the opportunity to be a guinea pig and let the treatments be discovered through me. And there's so many other people here that are willing to do that if we can get the legislation passed to do the research. And as you said, the fact that the cannabis does not kill people from overdosing. I was reading the drugs that I take. I thought I took a lot. Apparently it's not as much as I thought because of some people taking like 100 milligrams a day of what I take 20 milligrams a day of, or 25. But I'm able to converse and write and do whatever I need to do. I'm sure if I were taking, and when I get to the point that I need that much medication, I would just be out in La La Land somewhere, not able to do anything.
So also, some of the pushback we get is people talk about the addiction rate of cannabis. I don't think people realize that the studies that have been done on the actual addiction rate of marijuana, it is as addictive as chocolate or coffee. That is its addiction rate, chocolate or coffee. Where opiates and pain pills, these things, they're killing us. They're killing our society. We have a better option. Doctors want, all throughout the state, doctors want to be able to give this to their patients. We have the country's leading expert doing research here, proving all of these conditions, publishing white paper after white paper saying it's working, testifying at the State House saying, legalize this, let these people have access to this through this Compassionate Care Act. It's time we do it. And yet, we're still waiting for a vote on the House floor. So we still can't get Representative Jay Lucas to give us a vote, just to allow it to go to the House floor, which is the Speaker of the House, and just let the people's representatives take a vote. That's what we want.
So is it the stigma attached to marijuana?
I think it is. I think it's just a lot of lack of education, and legislators, they are concerned about their constituents and the people that vote them into office and how they're going to feel about this issue. And we have polls in the state that show over 70% of the state supports medical marijuana. And I think it just needs to come down to what we're doing here. This is it. What we're doing here, going around, showing everybody throughout the state, all of these people that are fighting for this, all of these patients, all of these doctors, all of these legislators, saying, you know what, it's time. It is time South Carolina allows access to this to our people. And that's it.
Our health, our decision.
Yeah.
That's our thing.
Yeah, and not just, it is our health, and it should be our decision. It should be. The government should not be in between what a doctor wants to prescribe or recommend to a patient. The legislators should not stand between that.
These people that are in authority, that have the opportunity before them to make a difference, may one day need this themselves, or they may be in a position that my children are in now, looking at their parents. And so, they have the power. We put them in there to make the important decisions. Make the important decision.
Make the hard decisions. I know, you know, when we're down at the State House and I hear a lot of rumblings and a lot of people say, well, it's gonna happen. No matter what, it's eventually gonna happen. And I think everyone understands it's eventually gonna happen. And, you know, do you want, as a legislator, I know if I was a legislator, I would want to be the person that made it happen. That way I knew that it was a comprehensive program, it was regulated, patients would get what they need. I would want to be that person. I wouldn't wait for the next guy down the road that took my seat to come in and possibly mess it up. So, I mean, now's the time. I mean, you're in office, now's the time, be the person.
Think of all the lives that you could save and give people you can give a better quality of life to, and families. That's what we're all about, is families.
Yep. Thanks for joining
Thank
us.
you.
This one was, thank you so much. Thank you for coming. Can I give you a hug? Please. Thank you. Thank you for all your hard work too.
You're welcome. I'm gonna get you guys a book. I'm gonna kick hard.